a very special person, indeed a very distinguished personality, is going to step up onto the dais, and he will now talk through his life experiences. So here's someone who has seen a lot in terms of maybe thousands and 10,000s of employees like yourself, people who make a valuable contribution to global companies. And he will share his insights, he will share his experiences, and also maybe talk through his own personal stories about how people like yourself can make immense value to the company and to the core expertise that you're dealing with. Let me give a very quick introduction about this very distinguished personality who will now step up onto the dais. I am talking about Mr. Ramani Mani, the founder and managing director of Mani Group of Companies, Mani Sales Bengaluru, Load Controls India Private Limited, and Modutech Ready Panels Private Limited. He's the director of COSMA and member CEO Club of IEMA. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome Mr. Prince to kindly welcome Mr. Ramani on stage. Prince, sir, if you could just kindly join me on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, with the greatest round of applause, let's welcome this distinguished personality, Mr. Ramani sir. A very hearty welcome to the Socomec family. Prince sir, if you could just kindly welcome him with a kind gesture. A good round of applause, everyone.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
So, just a brief introduction. In fact, I don't know what Mr. Ramani Mani is up to, but in terms of his work. But I will tell you, it was Corona, and everybody was sitting at home, and I was not part of Socomec at that moment. But yes, I was part of COSMA, which is, he's very active member of COSMA, and probably he can introduce himself as well. And I was sitting at my home, and I got an invitation link to join, the motivational speech from Mr. Ramani. And it was a privilege for me when I just joined that meet, and I heard Mr. Ramani, though I know because he's part of the industry. So it was a complete mesmerization of my thought process in terms of hearing from him what he is doing in terms of his work, what kind of personality he is and he can influence. And sometimes on the joking side also, I said to him, you are in the wrong profession and you can be a motivational speaker and can inspire. In fact, he is inspiring a lot of people in our space and beyond our space as well, to motivate them to work in a different way. And probably his work and experience is going to help us learn from his life. And probably, we can take these nuggets of wisdom from him and make our lives better day after day. So thank you so much, Mr. Ramani, to come us here and give us your nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Princess. So now we'll listen to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Mr. Onil, Mr. Marco, Mr. Meenal, and the entire team, extended team and family of Socomec. Mr. Prince often, he's used the word motivational speech. And when each one of us seated in this room go through their own life stories in terms of where they started and where they are today, I'm sure each one of us will have so much to contribute in terms of what could motivate the other. And that's exactly going to be my attempt today, to share my business life journey and hope that you would all enjoy it as much as I did putting it together. So what I've made an attempt at is connecting the dots of my life, how I started, how I progressed step by step, and for giving me this opportunity to share these pieces of my life with you. I'm indeed very grateful to Socomec. So this has been my journey over the last 41 years. What I've founded and built is the Mani Group of companies. 1983, it was with Money Sales Bangalore, and we are also authorized stockists for Socomec. And in that aspect, it's like a homecoming for me amongst all of you who are also in the same path. 1990, I went on to manufacturing low voltage switchboards and then progressed to medium voltage switchboards under the name of Load Controls. And then an idea struck, and I'll tell you how. And there is this pioneering company which I founded again called Modutech Ready Panels Private Limited, wherein we manufacture modular switchboard enclosure systems. I'm also, as Prince said, one of the directors of COSMA. COSMA is the Control Panel and Switchgear Manufacturers Association. It was founded in the year 1988 in Mumbai, and the whole concept is that when panel builders meet each other, instead of having animosity towards each other, oh God, this guy's come to pick up my order, instead of that kind of a feeling, we think in terms of how can we look at our competitors as collaborators. And that is the basis and essence of COSMA, and that's why we have the tagline, Uniting Panel Builders. The beauty of uniting panel builders or uniting people on the same path is that we are able to form a kind of an energy, a kind of an influence in the industry where a lot of good can be done. And that is what we are attempting at COSMA. So, to delve into my beginnings in business, I actually did chemical engineering. And when I was in the third year of my engineering, my eldest brother, he started a company, Money Sales in Chennai. That's the place I hail from. And during the summer holidays, I would go and sit in his office, helping him with either collections or sales or whatever you had there. So much so, when I graduated, he suggested, why don't we start a branch in Bangalore? Back came the reply, why not? And I found myself in Bangalore. My father immediately organized for a paying guest accommodation. So my bedroom, the cot was also, underneath the cot was my godown. We kept the materials of MDS Switchgear Limited, miniature circuit breakers and distribution boards. The veranda morphed into my office, and on my brother's motorcycle, I would go around Bangalore trying to see how I could serve the industry in terms of selling miniature circuit breakers and distribution boards. It was a new city, it was a new language, and I was completely new to business. But I had this will within me that if it has to be, it is up to me. And when I started selling MDS MCBs, in those days it was called Loadster, the brand where you need 2 screws to fit the MCB to the base. And I was pitched against Havels and Indo-Asian, who had already come out with the dendril mounting MCBs. And I had to compete, and I had to convince the customer that this is a better technology than that. And I needed certain extra skill sets. I was looking out here and there to seeing where I can get it from. And that is the time when I came across this newspaper advertisement for this program called MILT. MILT stands for the McGrath Institute of Leadership Training, and it was conducted by one Mr. Aparesh Acharya, whom till date I recognize as one of the best orators I have come across in my life. And the kind of impact that program had on me was something which I would ever be grateful for. I liked it so much that I actually repeated the program 2 times after that. And it was a program where, all of us, we come out with intelligent quotient. But what helps us in business really is the emotional quotient. And that is where we really understand what the customer wants and what makes an impact for him. And that is something which I really learned from MILT. And to add to it, there was a lot of spiritual inputs also given to us every Sunday morning classes, it was called. And then there was this networking which happened because most of the people who came for this program were people from the business community. And that was an opportunity for us to exchange notes and understand what's happening well in our lives, what's happening not so well in somebody else's life, and then what do we learn from each other. The very first year, I was able to double the target which was given to me, and that gave us sufficient muscle power to move to Chitpet, which is the heart of the electrical market in Bangalore. For me, it was the mecca for learning. They were the Marwaris, the Sindhis, and the Gujaratis who, thank you, who had a different perspective to the way you run your business. And there was so much for me to learn from there. And as I went into the markets in Chitpet, I would see an M.M. Shankla, a Kaveri Electricals, a Kanyala Lakshman Das, and they would have on their letterheads a series of logos which formed the margin of their letterhead. And some of them even had it coming horizontally at the bottom as well. And there was my letterhead with just one make of MDS in it. And I said, hey, there's something wrong out here. And I went on to taking the agency of Versatrip, which was a hydraulic MCB in those days, S&S fuses, and I was also a distributor for MK switches for 1 year. But what I realized was that this defocusing actually hurts the business. What is important is for us to focus, and that's when the customer also sees the right kind of value when you interact with him. So this is when I came across a quote from Jack Welch, who was the then CEO of GE. He said that in our businesses, we must either be number one or number two in the segments we serve, in the products we serve. And if we are not, then we need to exit that business. This made a big impact for me, and today I'm happy to share with you of the 4 products we are representing in money sales. Electron, we are exclusive distributors for South India. Legrand, we are number 1 in Karnataka. Socomec, if I'm not mistaken, we are number 2 in Karnataka. And ABB, we are number 4 or 5, working our way up to seeing where we would reach. When I went out there to sell products to various segments of customers, there was this panel building segment which drew my attention. I really liked the way they were able to convert from a single line diagram a complete solution for the customer. And a thought occurred to me that why don't I also become a panel builder? So I started off in a 1,000 square feet shed in the year 1990 with conventional machinery. We had the hand shearing, the fly press for bending, arc welding, and spray painting. And as the business progressed, I noticed that there were times when we were flooded with orders and I had to actually refuse orders. And there were times when the order books were so empty that I had to literally sit with the telephone index and start calling my customers and potential customers. And then I had a trading business to take care of and a manufacturing business to take care of as well. So that's when, out of my sheer necessity and need, I approached Ganesha, who was then working with me for about 6 to 8 years. I said, why don't you become an entrepreneur? And I got into a profit sharing arrangement with him. And he has literally grown that money sales business to where it is today. I have a lot of respects for him. I have a colleague of mine, Oblesh, also with us here, and he will vouch for the fact that Ganesha has done a great job. So this sort of gave me a lot of time to focus on manufacturing. Now, when I started focusing on manufacturing, I found that that was not going to be a cakewalk for me either. And there was a lot of challenges, and that's when I decided that let me see how the world makes panels. Is the same problems which we find in India also there overseas? And I went to Singapore, spent a week out there, visited about 18 panel building units, and that's when I got to know that even in Singapore, you had the conventional panel builders who had the building approach to it. Then we had the semi-modular panel builders. And on the last day, I visited this company called Kwanglia. And there I saw a beautiful, modular, absolutely flexible and good-looking enclosure system which the panel builder was using. I sort of fell in love with that technology. I came back. I started making a lot of inquiries, did a lot of research. I went to Denmark. I went to Sri Lanka. I went to Malaysia, Dubai, did a lot of research in this modular technology, came back, put a team together, and in the year 2000, we released for load controls a pioneering first time modular switchboard enclosure system, at least in South India, I can say. And this was a product which came out very well thanks to the team which worked on it and for the ideas which I was able to pick up. When we did something different like this, what we gathered was a certain amount of recognition in the market. Everyone started looking up and saying that, hey, load controls, they make panels which are different. And so much so, there was, at one point of time, a panel builder who came all the way from Africa, and he asked me whether he could invest 51% equity in my company. In those days, I hardly had any idea about mergers and acquisitions. I wouldn't understand how easy or difficult it would be to work with somebody I didn't know from Adam. And therefore, I let that opportunity pass without even understanding how much the person was willing to pay me for this business. It's something which, in the corner of my mind, I have a little regret that I could have been a little bit more intelligent, asked a few more people here and there as to what I should be doing, and then got around to doing it a little differently. Thank you. 2003, so I put that behind me, went on to seeing how I could grow load controls. 2003, we were one of the first panel builders, again, at least in South India, I can say, to have invested in a turret punch press. And as we went about, there was this person who landed in 2013 from Qatar, Doha. And that was a time when IEC 61439 started picking up. Earlier, the standard for panel boards was IEC 60439, wherein the enclosure and the busbar systems were the only things that were type tested. IEC 61439 entailed that along with the enclosure and the busbar systems, you also needed the switchgear to be type tested, which was in this case Siemens. So we immediately jumped at the opportunity, we got it type tested to his satisfaction, and we were accredited with IEC 61439 type test certification. So that was the first in the journey of many, many more certifications. Another gentleman from Dubai got to know about us, got to know about all this, and then he came over, he saw our factory, saw the panel products, he was impressed, and he then bought 4 container loads of flat pack switchboard enclosure systems from us. So all this gave us a lot of boldness, a kind of a daredevil approach, saying that yes, we are on the right path, so we need to expand. And we moved into the 62,000 square feet state-of-the-art facility down Kanakpura Road. In fact, we are now expanding it with another 50,000 square feet, which should be ready by April, May. So, thank you. So the first of the certifications was Siemens, and then Eaton approached us and said, hey, we'd like to associate, you've got modular technology, can you do the IEC 61439 for us? And we said, yes, why not? We got the type testing done with them, and they landed us with a 35 crore order of Eaton with Kia Motors which is in the outskirts of Bangalore. More about that in my next slide. After participating in Elecrama exhibition, I had two multinational companies come and visit us. One was Mitsubishi from Japan, and the other was LS Electric from South Korea. Both of them came in with their R&D department people independently and checked out our factory and the facilities, what we had, the product, what we were manufacturing. Both of them signed up with us. Mitsubishi wanted us to do the IEC 61439 for 5000 amps aluminum bus bar. We said yes, we got it done. Today we are branding our enclosures for Mitsubishi in the name of METTA, M-E-T-T-A, and we are supplying to several panel builders, all their panel partners across the country. LS Electric came and they said that they wanted their panels to be type tested in South Korea, Seoul. So 4000 amps, 2500 amps and 1600 amps, 3 panels were shipped to Seoul. My engineering team went along with it. We got the type testing done under the aegis of ASTA. Today, LS Electric is one of my biggest customers overseas. They are buying my products in the Middle East and circulating it with their panel partners in the name of MSOL, which we brand for them. And the good thing about LS Electric is that they have been having several road shows across not only the Middle East, but they had one in Jakarta as well as in China. And they took our panels wherever they went under their brand, of course, and they are marketing this concept. Even when you come for Elecrama exhibition later this month in Delhi, you will see that Modutech enclosures are installed in the Mitsubishi stall, in the LS Electric stall, and I'm happy to share that even Elmesher has come forward to explore working with us, and we will be having our enclosures exhibited in their stall also, apart from, of course, being there in our stall as well. Then we had another panel builder from Doha, Qatar come in with saying that, can you do this type testing for me with Schneider Electric? We said yes, why not? And we got that done for him as well. And then a thought struck to me. All these type tests I have done through somebody else's requirement. So why don't I do that with Modutech investment? And since I was a stockist for ABB, I said, let's do it with ABB. So we did that, successfully passed. And then I realized that there was in this market a big gap between the A category panel builders, the B category and the C category. The A category panel builders were easily able to tie up with the big 3 or 4 names in the country, but the B and the C category were not able to afford that kind of license fee. So I went into social media and I offered saying that, please come, I'll give you a type test certificate with IEC 61439 with Modutech enclosures, and let's partner together to serve the industry. I'm glad to share with you that till date we have 97 such panel partners across the country, and it's still growing. Thank you. So I was talking to you about that eat and order. It came to me at a time when the previous year we had done 36 crores turnover in load controls. And this was an order for 35 crores, which had to be executed in just 5 months' time. And it was a little before that we had picked up another 20 crore order of a project, of a builder called Kalyani Builders in Bangalore for the Helios Tech Park, where Goldman Sachs was collating all their offices from across the city to this one building. Now, I had to literally triple my turnover from the previous year to the next year. It was absolutely a roller coaster ride, and I tell you, we would never have been able to execute this but for the modular technology. When you are in welded technology, it's not possible for you to ramp up your production in this manner. And this is something which, once again, we are repeating in this financial year, where the same Eaton has given us an order for Hyundai Motors in Pune. So all these things will happen as you put your intent to it, and the flow happens in a way which, I'm not able to sit back and think of a logical reasoning as to how, why, when this happened, and I can't take full credit for this. So a time had come for me to look at seeing how I can delegate load controls as well, so that I could focus more on Modutech. And that is when we have a person by name Suresh, a veteran from the industry. He came and joined us, and today he is our executive director in load controls, and he literally takes care of that business. So that leaves me with a lot of time for me to focus on Modutech. This is a product which is much needed in the industry, particularly in India. People need to understand the importance of moving from welded to modular. And also understanding that they need not bring in their own fabrication into their business. They need to be asset light, and they need to be focusing on the electrical part of their business. And thanks to companies like Socomec, you have a lot of digitalization possibilities which is there in the market. And that is the differentiation a panel builder will have to bring out for himself as he goes forward. So I built my team both at the mid-level and the top level at both load controls and Modutech, because now I've got a taste of delegation. I want to see if I can also delegate Modutech to a great extent and still run it. And I'm glad to say that this year we would be closing our books with a turnover of 150 crores. Thank you. So this is to give you a glimpse of the Helios Tech Park, the order and the Kia Motors order, which both came to me at the same time. And this Kia Motors is a industry worth visiting. It's spread over 800 acres of land, and it's in the outskirts of Bangalore in Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. The kind of exacting quality standards which the customer was expecting and demanded and got is a journey which was really worth the entire running against time to get it done. So, okay, so these are some of the learnings from my journey which I wanted to share with you all. As I interact with many entrepreneurs, I find that not everyone has the clarity of why they are in the business. They all some of them are there because their father started the business. Some of them are there because they just want to avoid being in an employment. Each one has got their own kind of reasons for this, and the kind of drive to make something big and audacious is not something which I come across every now and then. With all respects to each and every one of you in this room, I just want you all to think about where you are, why you are here, and where you want to see yourself 3 years from now. It's just something which I felt was very important for each one of us to, really talk to ourselves about. And whatever we do, we also have to see to it that we do it in a very differentiated manner. If everyone is going in one path, can we do something differently? So that brings out your soul's satisfaction and what you are good at in a very deep core level. And in order for you to do all that, you have to first be a continuous learner. My learning, as I said, the milt had made a big impact, but I didn't stop there. Every year on year, along the journey, I've had several consultants, business management consultants, whom I have worked with from IIM Bangalore and or whatever you have, to guide me in terms of my thinking. When they come and study what I'm doing, they see it in a different perspective. And when they see it in that perspective and they share their ideas with me, even if I'm able to pick up one good idea from that, it would make a big difference to the way I'm able to run my business. And this reviewing every now and then in terms of what you are there in the business for, what is your North Star? What are you working towards? What are your 3-year goals? 1-year goal is too small a time for one to really have a big image of where you want to be. And 5 years is again too long a period. So 3-year goal is a very appropriate number. And if one is able to constantly, continuously on a daily basis, when you get up in the morning, run it in your mind. Where do you want to see yourself 3 years from now? And have operation meetings in your various functions in your business, ensuring that the head of departments conduct these operation meetings in terms of what we did well yesterday, what we are going to be doing today, and what is it that what we did well, what we didn't do well, and what we are going to be doing differently today. And then we have these tactical meetings in our company where the departmental heads of different functions, they meet with each other and they discuss how are we progressing towards the North Star which we have defined for ourselves. And then we have once in 2 months meeting with the entire leadership team of the company to discuss again as to how are we placed with respect to the North Star we are working towards. All this gives a tremendous amount of clarity as to how you are running the business. And along with that clarity, you build your commitment because your goal is very clear. You're able to see where you're going to be 3 years from now. So that builds a lot of commitment inside you and your team members. And then you work on your competence, seeing what new skills I need to develop in order to serve my customers that much better. So it's all a system you put in place. And one more learning which I wanted to share is, I read this book, Built to Last. It is a book which defined how businesses have to be run and taking the learnings from businesses which has really survived and sustained and got to the successful stage and scaling phase of their business. And what differentiated such businesses from the businesses which were not able to survive beyond 1 year or 4 years or whatever. So, one thing which stood out is that there are 3 pillars of any organization: the strategy pillar, the systems pillar, and the team pillar. Once you take care of these 3 pillars of an organization, invariably your organization will do well. Then came this book called Built to Sell, and this gave me a completely different perspective. It says, why do you want to build a business to last? You build a business to sell it. The difference is that when you build a business to sell, you look at seeing how you can build that business which can thrive without you, number one. And number two, when you build a business, sell it, build another business, sell it, build another business, sell it, the kind of wealth you will be able to generate, the kind of value you will be able to add, the kind of difference you would be able to make to that particular industry would be of a completely different proposition, different level altogether. So we shouldn't get attached to our businesses. We shouldn't get attached saying that, emotional feelings should not be there. A business is for a particular purpose of profitable growth. We look at it, build the system, and then see what's next. So this has been my understanding in terms of what is best for the country, for the world, and for the individual. So that's about it from me. This is my factory in Kanakpura Road, Bangalore, and the insides of my factory. So here's an invitation to each one of you. When you happen to be in Bangalore, please do drop by. It'll be nice to have you over. It'll be good for you also to probably try and see how we are doing things differently, and if there's something which we can learn from each other. And similarly, we also have Money Sales, which is about 12 kilometers further towards the city from this factory. It's got about 10,000 square feet, including the godown space, and would be very nice to have you all over there as well. Thanks again, Socomec, for this opportunity.